Hi, Denise Dryden here from Whitefish, Montana, and we had a little blip. We had to do a restart. So for whatever reason, there's a lack of connection on my Wi-Fi while I'm talking about connection. You have to see the irony in that one. It's pretty good. So connecting and reconnecting, and then we're going to look at what happens during times of change. And connection is sort of what feeds us. It's what keeps us connected to ourselves and to each other. And I was wondering how's the best way to talk about connection. And I came up with the props. So the props are going to be, hi Rachel, so glad you're here. The props are going to be our hands. And so if we have our hands and we can sort of look at 5 points of touch, 5 points of connection, if we were to look at these, how can we sort of explore what are our passions? What are the things that we care about more than anything in the whole world? What are the things that bring us joy? What are the things that make us feel like we're alive and vibrant and in the world? And so we can do that through our senses, maybe. I mean, you can make this up in however you want to do it. It could be our senses, what we see, what we touch, what we taste, what we see and hear, or it can be mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, ethereal. It could be vibration. It could be color. It could be music notes. It could be anything that when you access it, you know, oh, there I am. My body's awake and I'm alive and I'm connected. So if we have these touch points that we know to be true for us, how do we use these for ourselves? And like, when I connect to this part of myself, when I connect to this part of myself, I know that I'm present, that I'm here, that I am participating in life and not just sort of watching it or phoning it in. So if we have these 5 points and we meet somebody else, the really interesting thing is what happens when I've got all of these fabulous ways to connect and the other person, a child, a partner, you know, a friend, has all these other ways to connect. And we're like, oh, we like to camp together, or we like watching, you know, Netflix on TV at night, or what's another one? I like to fish. You know, here's something, camping, fishing, reading, eating, you know, whatever it is. If there's one thing, it means that we have that point of connection, but we have all these other ones that are out there that are being ignored. If we have 2 points of connection, you know, it might be the same thing. There's still lots of us out here, but these 2 points are what bring us together with another person. It's how we access our passion, how we access our connection. Okay? Now, think about it. When you get to like 4 or 5 of those points, that relationship is magical. It just moves and adapts, and it's joyful and it's fun. And what if that was your relationship with yourself, or your relationship with someone you love, or the way that you interact with a child? Having these points of connection makes sense to me because what we're doing is we're accessing our passion. So let's go on and look at when we are in those kinds of connections. What do you experience? What do you know to be true about yourself when you're happy, when time disappears, when it's effortless, when you know what you're here for, what your purpose is? How stable are these points of connections, especially if they're with another? You know, are they sort of random, once in a while, all the time? Do you know the difference between that stability? What's fulfilling for you when that's going on? And do they bring you joy? I mean, that's what I want to know. Do those points of connection bring you joy? Because if you're not in joy, you're not fully connected. You might think that you are. But what we're looking at is ways to start building joy in our life, starting with how we view connection. So when the outer world starts to rock around like it is right now, and we have news on every day telling us what we're going to lose or what's under scrutiny or what rights we have or who's challenging them. And it really doesn't matter about any political affiliation. It's just that the fact that we're in a period of change, dramatic change. And these connections that we have with ourselves or with others are shallow, then they can get skimmed over and we can lose them pretty easily. And then what happens is we focus on the outer things. And I'm going to speak specifically to a parent and a child. We've got a parent with all of these magical ways that they love and take care of themselves. And we have a child who's discovering and learning all of the magical ways that he or she connects to himself, herself. And what happens is in times of erratic, let's say we connect on one or two areas and we have all of this twisting and turning and we sort of focus on the outer stuff like grades, behavior, chores, and we end up, thanks, I appreciate the thumbs up, we end up focusing on the things that don't really matter and we forget about these connection points. And we sort of turn into the manager of our relationships or our connections instead of sort of the being who knows where those connections are and how to reconnect. It's the same thing with same scenario is if we are one person in romantic relationship with another, and we go, well, I'm going to speak for myself. He likes all of these things, so I'm going to meet him where he likes his stuff, where he's in joy or where he feels supported. And then what happens is we forget about those passion points of ours, as opposed to connecting on those 3 or 4 magical places where connection happens. Again, if it's work, you and your work environment, and we're looking for places where we can connect, what happens if our work environment's about money or security? And we are in tumultuous times where there's not a lot that's holding us together for money, money or stability. And everything's moving and rocking, and sometimes these things will even start to float apart. And so what we're looking at is how to put our attention on what really matters. Step in, be present, understand what are those things that I actually need to support me, to sustain me, to feed me, and how do I select environments, people, even things to go do that bring out those passions in me and start to live life as a pulsing sort of organic being rather than a manager or someone who's frustrated that the rest of the world doesn't line up with who they are. When we break these connections, or when we take them, when we break them, or when we don't pay attention to them, what happens is that we chase connection. We're empty inside and we want more, and we start chasing. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Maybe it's in the club at night. Maybe it's in the wine bar. Maybe it's on TV. Maybe it's in how many times I talk to my kids about their homework. You're trying to connect, and you're connecting in a way that doesn't work. We also can take connection for granted. It's always there. I don't have to work on it. That doesn't work very well, does it? We get lazy. We sit back and we're like, we're good. I'm fine. And whatever these 2 things are that keep me alive and awake, they're fine. I don't need to do anything. Or we forget, especially during tumultuous times when there's so much going on, we forget how to connect to ourselves or how to connect with another. And what happens is we start flying around, floating around in a lost state, and we're craving connection, but we don't know it's there. So in order to maintain connection, it needs your attention. You need to know, what are these things that I love? How do I focus on them? How do I bring them to the forefront? And how do I build my life around these things that keep me in my passion, keep me alive, keep me awake, keep me motivated, keep me in change, keep me in awe? And then how do I find the pathway to find a connection point with another, so that when I am with that person, I can feel the depth of what we're here for? Okay, so bring to your awareness what those passion points are for you, and figure out, are you satisfied with 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 10? Know what you want, and then go after it. Go after it with every part of your being, because when we have connection, we have joy, we have laughter, we have fulfillment, we have the things that matter. So, like I said, let go of anything that is sort of a maybe. Focus on what you need for yourself, and then offer it to the world. This is who I am. This is what I know. Come find me. Come touch these. Come wake me up. Come connect to me. Because I think that that's what we're looking at right now during all of this switching and changing, is what really matters. What do I want? How do I find it out there in the world? And then how do I begin to enjoy it? So I'm Denise Dryden. I'm a coach. I work with those who parent a lot, and we can do individual or couples sessions. We focus on you. What is it that you do to connect to yourself first and foremost? And then how do you approach your relationships from that point? If you have any questions, you can always find me on DeniseDrydenCoaching.com. And have a great Sunday and have a great week. Take care. Bye-bye.